we've seen significant increases in that interest, and all buildings through municipal sectors today are mandating LEED to be implemented in their municipal buildings. On Long Island, we have the first town that has mandated, the town of Babylon has mandated that to be built, that all structures, commercial properties over 4,000 square feet have to be built by the standard. That's cutting edge. It's never been done in the country, and it's a model that's now being recognized in Washington for the greening of the suburbs and the communities that most buildings are faced with today. Our biggest challenge is that most new construction, a big part of LEED is new construction, is really redeveloping existing buildings and educating and providing the ability to take old structures and provide a tighter envelope, more energy efficient, and there are many ways to do that. And the biggest misconception, and I'll wrap it up with this, is that building green is more expensive. And if you're looking for a platinum certified building, and you're going to spend more to do it. No question about it, no secret about it. You're probably going to spend between 10 and 15% above the traditional contracting cost. But if the goal is to just build the most efficient building that you can build and have it certified at the lowest level, LEED certified spectrum, you might see an increase between 1 to 4%, 5% is the typical increase in the building, and if done correctly by a contractor with the help of an architect who's involved in that process on an ongoing basis, there's a possibility to see that go neutral in your upfront costs, but your long-term, short-term benefits are enormous. So with that, I'll kind of turn it over to you and answer hopefully some questions.
Cease up front, folks.
Yes.
At one time, New York City had a program where they recycled from restaurants food for the zoos. And I wonder whatever happened to that program, because now I heard the governor is cutting any of the money that's supposed to go to the zoo. He's cutting it in half now, and eventually he said he'll have to cut it all for.
Yeah, I'm not specifically aware of that, but I think there are a number of food rescue programs that exist throughout the city, like the food bank, using the food bank, and city harvest.
That's kind of direction. I don't know if that's related to what you're speaking about. Those are, I think, independent, not-for-profits, I'm guessing.
This was specifically from restaurants.
I know most restaurants are proactively supporting and finding alternative disposal methods for the waste, for good foods, prepared foods that could be sent to shelters and other needing areas. What's really coming from that is the food waste during that time, which you can't distribute the prep stations and sous chef components. And then what comes back after the table is enjoyed the good stuff. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the food processing, wastewater and composting technologies that are.
Right. And that's the unfortunate thing. I mean, the biggest impediment to higher levels of organic recovery in New York City is that we just don't have any place to bring it. New York City doesn't have a large-scale composting facility. We really don't have any large-scale composting facilities in proximity to New York that can handle the large volumes that can be generated from New York City. On the residential side, almost 39% of the residential waste stream is potentially compostable. And if you look at just the refuse stream, once the recyclables are taken out, organics climbs to almost 50% of our refuse stream that is potentially compostable. And then on the commercial side, that's also your most expensive component of your waste disposal cost, because it is the only item for which the private hauling industry can charge on a weight basis as opposed to everything else, which is capped on a volume basis. So heavy wet waste is now up to over $10 per 100 pounds, so over $200 a ton. Anything you can do to reduce that cost, and while Michael has an in-vessel system that may be larger, a little bit more capital intensive, there are lower cost systems now that are just dewatering systems that basically grind and compact your wet waste, extracts the water, which could just be plumbed down your drain line, that basically reduces your disposal costs in half, because water is 50% of all your organic waste. So if you can put in those simple food, and payback periods on this kind of equipment is literally months.
Exactly.
The processes you talked about, for example, recovery, shrink wrap, and some of the other things that you're working on, I mean, they sound very exciting. What do you find? How do businesses react to these things? How hard is it to sell them? Is it, and how much of a challenge is it for them to change their practices?
I'm not finding it as difficult as it may appear because of awareness. I think it's the key component, and people are tired of, frankly, paying waste disposal costs that just keep going up. One of the things I found in just the past couple of weeks, couple of months, is a direct result of the economy collapse, is a lot of the haulers, a lot of the carters specifically had rates established that I would say were pretty discounted, but in return they were pulling truckload quantities of recyclable cardboard out with little to no rebate being provided, and they were taking the $200, the $110, $150 a ton rebate that was on the table 6-8 months ago, and frankly not sharing much of that, if any at all. When the markets collapsed, it got to a point where some of the haulers sent out letters to their clients basically saying that if you have a bail, I'm going to charge you $5 a bail, $10 a bail, take it. That got the industry's attention very quickly, and the net result of that is those that denied paying the bail haul immediately implemented rapid increases in their hauling fees, so that they could just be, I'll use the term sustainable, survive, and kind of readjust the market. Something that hasn't had much stability for some time when it came to hauling costs, specifically with the exception of municipal contracts. And the municipal contracts are all long-term, in most cases, long-term agreements. Everybody knows what's going to happen with that. But when you're dealing with individual facilities and buildings, a lot of that is what you negotiate or what you're told it's going to be, and whether or not the carter is able to service that building because you made an agreement with respect on the other building. So there's a lot of that still going on, but not as much as you would think. Frankly, that's not going on the way it used to. But there is still a sense of responsibility to stabilize the marketplace. I did want to just add one thing that I didn't mention that I think is important to talk about, and that's universal waste and hazardous waste materials. One of the biggest problems we've faced in the years is improper disposal of hazardous materials. We've seen an increase in the stewardship of that. Compliance is up. The amount of materials that are going down the drains and to sites unknown. That has fortunately changed dramatically. Spills are down as a direct result of oversight and people caring. Universal waste is still a big area that a lot of work needs to be done. There's a big the local community, the residential community, has support from their local stop programs. The stop throwing out pollution programs, household hazardous waste days, accept those items free of charge. The town pays companies like myself to provide and run those programs. Those are working, and they're very effective. On the commercial side, they have to pay for that service, a service that they've probably never paid for before, to get rid of an old light bulb, old batteries, and old computers. The e-waste programs are programs that I provide, land disposal programs, battery. Those are a change to corporate America and to small businesses. There's been some significant fines levied that you may be familiar with to major companies, and from $50,000 to, I know one that was over a couple $100,000. And frankly, I ran the numbers and I said they got fined a couple $100,000, it would have cost them $50,000 to do it right. And we're seeing that a lot of companies and individuals just don't know what to do with universal waste. And that's and it's not your carter who's providing you that service. That's an environmental service provider who specializes and handles both universal waste and hazardous waste materials, who do provide those services. Companies like myself and others out there. Those are areas we do specialize in.